Hello everyone. Today we are going to be looking at the unit 2.5 of OCR Economics, which is competition. Very interesting topic, not very difficult. So let's get started. So first of all, we need to understand what a market is. I think I've covered it in my previous videos, but just for recap, a market is just a place where buyers and sellers meet to facilitate exchange of goods and services for money. Very simple. And what is competition? Competition is rivalry among sellers to increase profit, market share, etc. So what we look in this topic is how many types of competitions are there and how each of them behave. All right. So let's get started by listing out some types of competition. Yeah, this is very important. Types of competition. So the most important ones are basically monopoly and the free market ones. We'll first start by looking at what a monopoly is. So monopoly is where one firm dominates the market. What do I mean by one firm dominating, right? So let's say one firm owns more than, let me look at my pen, owns more than 25% of market share. That's the legal definition of market share. Excuse my handwriting. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? So let's say I need to explain you what market share is. So imagine in a market, let's say of shoes, yeah, there are 10,000 units sold each year. 10,000 units sold each year, and my company sells 2,500 units. Then I have a 25% market share because 2,500 over 10,000 uh, will give you 25%, like this. Simple, yeah. So let me just get rid of this. Yeah, yeah. So this is what Monopoly does. So an example of Monopoly could arguably be Amazon. I don't know how much market share Amazon has, but if you think about it in terms of online shopping, the only site which most of the users go on is to Amazon. There are other sites like Flipkart, eBay, but mostly it's just Amazon. So you can argue that Amazon has the monopoly. Yeah. So what happens in a monopoly, right? So like imagine if I wanted to compete with Amazon. Can I do that very easily? No. I need to have a lot of capital, right? I need to have a lot of resources. Lots needed. And once this happens, what does that mean? That means barriers to entry are very high because you would need to fight Amazon for resources. Is that easy? No. Barriers to entry are high. This is basically the story of monopoly. Is this one firm is dominating the market? It's difficult for other firms to enter. And what this monopoly can do is, imagine, yeah, you are the only one dominating the market. What do you think your price elasticity is going to be? Like, if you increase the price, if let's say you increase the price, what will happen to the quantity? Will it go by the same amount or will there be a lesser change? The answer is there will be a lesser change because since you own most of the resources, you don't have enough competition. There are not enough firms who are producing at the same level as they are not providing the same level of, let's say, quality of products, for instance. So what will happen is even if you let's say increase price on a good by let's say $100 or £100, let's say dollars, then let's say your quantity might not fall. Let's say this $100 is like a 10% increase in price. Your quantity might just fall by like 2%, which is very acceptable. Your revenue will still be increasing. Your revenue is price times quantity. Since there is a 10% increase in price and only a 2% increase in quantity, your revenue will still be increasing, and your PED, which is price inelasticity of demand, is inelastic. We covered this in previous videos, so if you don't recall this, refer back to them. And this is what happens in a monopoly. Yeah, this is basically the whole story. High barriers to entry, one firm dominates the market. The firm can increase the price because the competitors are not good enough. So this is basically the whole story of monopoly. And your example was Amazon. Then sometimes you can have duopoly. So what a duopoly is when two firms dominate. Yeah, an example can be Coca-Cola versus Pepsi. Coca-Cola versus Pepsi in terms of carbonated drinks, which are, yeah, versus Pepsi. Yeah, this is a very famous one. So basically, again, barriers to entry are high because these two are dominating. Barriers to entry still high, to entry still high. Yeah, and because you would have to compete with both of them, like what they might have is each of them might have 12.5%, for instance. So combining them, they gain 25%, and so they are dominating the market. Yeah, still, if I want to compete with Coca-Cola and Pepsi, it's very hard for me. They own most of the resources to produce those carbonated drinks. And again, their PED is going to be elastic. However, they might be competing with each other, so it's going to be relatively less inelastic. Still be inelastic, but relatively less. Because if Coca-Cola increases its price, people might shift to Pepsi. Pepsi increases its price, people go to Coca-Cola. Yeah. But it also depends on factors like who does more advertising, who does better advertising, uh, who has more brand loyalty, and etc. Yeah. So duopoly is something that you won't face a lot of time in your exams. It's usually monopoly and perfect competition, and sometimes oligopoly as well, which is our third one. So oligopoly is when three to eight firms, yeah, 3 to 8 firms dominate. Now, where can you see this? It's usually, I think a good example could be shoes. Because in shoes, there are a few brands, but like they are basically it. For example, you have Adidas, you have Jordans, Puma, and like only a handful of them. I don't think you would find more than 8 famous brands in shoes. Maybe you can, but like I think the dominating ones will be only about like 5 to 6. So this is what oligopoly is. Still barriers to entry are high, but less than barriers to entry are high, but a bit less than oligopoly. Sorry, less than monopoly and duopoly. Yeah, for obvious reasons, because you are not competing with just one firm or two firms. You are competing with 3 to 8 firms. It's possible to enter this market, but it's still very difficult. Still high, but less than monopoly and duopoly. So this is what happens. Still, PED is going to be PED is now going towards the elastic part, right? Because 3 to 8 firms, it's becoming more elastic. Is becoming more elastic. Yeah. And yeah, so this is what happens. 3 to 8 firms are owning the market share. Still, if these firms want to increase their price, like they have to be very competitive, right? They have to be producing very good quality of products, and only then. So what they want to do is they want to produce, let's say they are producing a pair of shoes at let's say still $100. Yeah, let's say a company like Adidas, yeah, producing a pair of shoes, their latest pair of shoes at $100. What these firms are continuously looking for is to let's say better their technology in terms of developing their products, so that the same cost, which was $100, is now reduced to $80. Yeah, let's say $100 is their cost and they're selling at 120. The profit is just 20. So what you want to do is you want to lower your cost such that you get 80, then your profit becomes 40. So this is what these firms are continuously trying to do. So what happens is, like, if you try to increase the price, which is above the market price, let's say a price for a certain shoe is, let's say, $50. Each company is selling it at $50, and if you increase price, yeah, to 75, for instance, what let's say Adidas does that. So what customers are going to do is they're going towards the other companies who will same the exactly same shoe. Well, it's just a hypothetical scenario. Well, they will go towards the other companies who are selling it at $50 still. They'll buy from them, not from Adidas. Of course, each company sells different shoes, but that's just an hypothetical example that if each company was selling the same shoe. So this is the story of oligopoly. Then you have monopolistic competition, not monopoly, but monopolistic. Monopolistic. There is no I here. So monopolistic is basically quite a few firms, lot of firms, selling similar but differentiated products. An example is hotels, yeah. They all provide accommodation, but each hotel is very different from other one, yeah. You don't need to know much about this one. It's just for knowledge that a lot of firms selling similar but differentiated products. The most important one that you will often face is free market, which is the free market economy. Yeah, sorry, free market competition. Free market competition. So what happens is lots and lots of firms, hundreds of firms, could be hundreds. These are selling similar products. So like, I don't know, maybe like a tap industry, like selling taps. I don't know. So any industry which has a lot of competitors, no firm like which is a specialist in that. So let's say taps, yeah. Now what is it, like each firm is competing with each other. Like anyone can enter this market. Even I can enter this market with relatively low amount of money. Entry easy. Low barriers to entry. Entry easier. So what you now since the entry is easier, yeah, you can't really increase the price because what will happen is other firms will have a lower price. As we saw in the previous case of oligopoly, the same thing will exist here, but at an even easier pace. You can't really like imagine everyone is selling at $10. You even do 11, yeah, still won't work out for you. Everyone will go to the $10 companies, the one who are selling the same product for $10, because everyone is selling like imagine like how much of a variety can you give in taps? Maybe some, right? But not like exclusively high variety. So yeah, so a tap industry is where there can be a lots of companies, and PED is very elastic. Is very elastic because simply if you increase price, people are going to your competitors. Oh, sorry, elastic. Yeah, people are just going to your competitors. So like basically you have nothing to do. So this is what really you need to remember. Like what are the barriers to entry? Are the barriers to entry high or not? That depends on the number of firms in the market. If there are too many firms, barriers are low. Few firms, barriers are high. And yeah, and you just need to understand PED by this. Like imagine like your PED is elastic if people can switch. It's not inelastic if people cannot switch. That is in case of monopoly. One key thing is about monopoly is that monopolies can lower their cost. So monopolies can lower their cost very easily with something called economies of scale. So what they happen is so what imagine yeah often that happens if you buy a product in bulk you get a cheaper price, right? So since these monopolies usually have the most resources, right? So what happens is as they go towards more quantity, their cost increases. Imagine this is the cost, yeah. Cost per unit decreases as you can see here. This is called economies of scale. This is another key thing which you want to sorry, economies of scale. This is what you also want to know about monopolies. And that is basically your Unit 2.5 competition. I have taught you everything you need to learn, how firms compete, why firms compete, and how difficult is it to compete. And that is basically for this unit. I'll see you in the next unit. Thank you very much, guys. If you like the video, please subscribe.